Hey everybody, welcome to Takeoff with John Clark, and please subscribe for free to this podcast wherever you listen to it, Apple, Spotify, or wherever. And it is finally NFL Draft Week. Who will the Eagles take? Let's check in with one of the men who will decide who the Birds are picking. All right, let's welcome in the Eagles Vice President of Player Personnel, Andy Weidl, the pride of Villanova football. And Andy, this is your second draft in your position. How are you feeling this draft compared to last draft, especially now that you're back in the building?
Right. Well, I think that's the main thing right there, John, is we're back in the building. And we had our meetings last week. We had some of our scouts in. And next week, we're going to have all of our scouts in the building for the draft. And that dynamic is something that, you can't replace. It's just something being around each other, seeing each other, the body language, the looks here and there, little side conversations you can have when you're in a room with each other or outside of the room, outside of the draft room. Those dynamics you can't replace. And we're really looking forward to that, having our scouts back in here. They're our ground troops, and they know these players better than everybody. And, we're building a connection right now. We're with our scouts and the new coaching staff, and watching that evolve last week, each day in meetings, and watch these guys. They're just coming together for a common cause. We're all pulling in the same direction, right? To get this team better, get this roster better, so that we're back in the playoffs and we're competing for Super Bowls each year. And that was a great thing, sitting back and watching it last week, is how that started to build. You could just see it. The connection and the chemistry really start to evolve and develop. And, that's the key. This is football. We're a team within a team. We're all trying to get better. When we're all pulling the same direction and all for the same goal and the common cause, man, the sky's the limit and great things are possible.
So you've probably heard a lot of noise out there about the whole collaboration with the departments with the Eagles. So how would you say it's going with owner Jeff Lurie? Then you have your department, Howie Roseman, and all the coaches working together on this.
I think it's going great. We all work together. Our goal, we come in every day, is to make our team better. Each one of us. And it's a privilege to work here and be a part of this. And it's a challenge. And it's competitive, And yeah, there's pressure. But that's why you get in this business. We're trying to get better. We want to compete, and we want to be at the top every year. We want to get back in the playoffs. We want this roster to be built. We want to find players that fit Coach Sirianni's program. So that's a challenge each day that we come in here and we work together. We're all on the same page. We're all aligned, and we all want the same thing.
So you have a new coaching staff compared to last year. How has it been different, or any adjustment, learning what they want, what kind of players they want on the field, and how does that affect your draft decisions?
Well, the one thing that's great is that we're aligned with Coach Sirianni, and the players are like guys that love the game, passion for the game, first and foremost. They're smart, they're tough, they're resilient, they can handle adversity, they have thick skin. This is Philadelphia. You got to come in here and you got to be thick-skinned, you got to be tough-minded and mentally strong, and we know that. So we're aligned with that kind of player, that Eagle DNA we like to talk about here. So it starts there, and then you just get in positions, different things. Hey, I could use this guy this way. I could use this player this way. And it's about being a good listener. It's about being a good listener to the coaching staff, and that's how you get on the same page, our scouts and us, with the coaching staff, and you get aligned. So we're working towards that. I think we've had a great start, and we're looking forward to next week.
You just mentioned kind of having that Philly toughness, and you need that out of the players. So I got to ask you, in this draft process, do you ask prospects about possibly being booed or taking the heat and pressure like that, how they would react?
There's different ways to go about it. How do guys, I'll tell you what, I was a long time ago when I started out as an intern with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's a legendary scout, Bill Nunn, one of the greatest scouts the league's ever seen, and he talked about he's got 6 Super Bowl rings and he's going to the Hall of Fame, and he always talked about the one thing is, how does a player handle criticism? How do they handle criticism? Find that out. That mental toughness and their ability to handle that, and that's something we try to dive into and get to the bottom of. About each player. And I mean, and John Harbaugh talked about in Baltimore, hey, these guys going to have thick skin. We talked skin like an armadillo. They can handle criticism. They're resilient. When things go down, they handle a little adversity. They can dig themselves out, and they can keep going, and they can keep staying in the fight.
One of the biggest questions I get from Eagles fans over the last couple of weeks is, why did they trade from 6 to 12 when you have that opportunity to get a player at 6? And how much did you guys wrestle with possibly getting a perennial Pro Bowler at 6 or a future Hall of Famer compared to maybe getting a first-round pick next year and getting an extra draft pick and stuff like that?
Right. I think, there was conversations that were had, and I think it was just an opportunity. And, the opportunity to get a first-round pick next year and just more flexibility. So I think there's a trust there, trust with our scouting staff, setting the board, moving back to 12 in this year's class. But I think the main thing, it was an opportunity to give us more flexibility moving forward in the future.
I heard Howie
We
Roseman
still have 11 picks too, John, and that's the thing. It's great. We're walking into the draft. I mean, I think this is the most picks that I've ever had with the team going into a draft. So, I mean, there's so many opportunities here in this draft for us. And, the one thing we do is we talk about different situations. It's no different than situational football, right? You're going into a draft. Hey, what about this scenario? You're prepared for this, and we try to stay ahead of it and have discussions where, different things may arise, different opportunities. So that's what we're doing right now. That's what we've been doing, and that's what we're going to continue to do leading up to the draft.
And when you decide to trade back, do you also look at the level of players that you have? So when you look at 6 compared to 12, do you see a big drop off or no?
You know what? We keep those discussions internal, but there was a comfort level, moving back from 6 to 12. And it was, like I said, it was an opportunity, and, how he jumped at it. So credit to him.
How many blue chip players do you think there are in this draft?
Time will tell. Right, you can find players at all different levels. That's what the history of the draft has shown. Everywhere from the first round to third round. I mean, you find Hall of Famers, all over the place. Brian Dawkins was a second-round pick. I've been around Dermontti Dawson in Pittsburgh, Willie Roaf in New Orleans, Jonathan Ogden. You can find guys at all different levels. So we're excited for this draft, and like I said, time will tell with these players what they become.
When I asked Howie Roseman about the possibility of moving up and things like that, he said he's already talked with teams about what it would take in compensation. So when you go through the rehearsal of this draft and you go through everything, how many different possibilities do you think there could be with this draft?
Well, every
meaning like what happens in front of you the first 11 picks or so.
Right. That'll dictate it to us. All I know is you got to have 12 names. Right, we're sitting at 12 right now, and what happens in front of us is going to be out of our control. There'll be discussions we have about what could happen in front of us and different possibilities, and we'll be prepared on draft night.
Obviously, this team has needs. So, what kind of philosophy do you have when it comes to looking at the needs that you have and maybe the fits, and weigh that against best player that's sitting there?
Well, I think we're going to take the best player available as always. Look, we're not blind either. We're 4-11-1 last year. We need to get better. We know that, and we have different areas that we need to address. One thing that we know about this business also is that a position of strength can become a position of need real fast with injuries and different circumstances. So we're going to do everything we can to strengthen this roster and get this team better and back to the level of play that that we know we've been to, and we want to deliver to our fans and to our city.
What do you think when you look back at the last couple drafts or so, and when you talk about that need or fit comparable to best possible player available? Have there been any instances where you moved off of that, and have you learned anything over the last couple drafts?
No, I just think you got to be prepared, for opportunities that come up to better your team and to give yourself more picks sometimes, and just being flexible. Draft picks are like currency. And the more currency you have, the more flexibility you have, and the more flexibility you have, the more opportunity.
How much more challenging is this when you don't have the combine? And is there really limited medical information in some circumstances?
Well, it's a challenge at every team. Every team's in the same boat, right? So there's no combine this year. There's no East-West, but there was a Senior Bowl. Teams played games this fall. So what we're doing is we're taking all the information that we were able to gather, right? And you're taking the evaluation of the tape, recent tape or tape from, if it's an opt-out player from the year before, And you're taking all that and you're bringing it together and you're finding a place for them on the board with their value for our team. So every team's going to look at these players differently through different lenses because they're in different situations. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to find guys that make our team better, that fit Coach Sirianni's program and what we're trying to build.
I'm not sure if you hear the outside noise about Eagles fans and what they hope for, but a lot of Eagles fans are talking about a receiver or cornerback. Never going to ask you who you're taking or whatever, but I'm just asking, are there plentiful receivers and cornerbacks in this draft?
You know, it's one of those things again, that time's going to tell. There's guys we're excited about. There's players, there's corners, there's receivers. There's good players in this draft, we feel. So we'll find out, see what happens on draft night with regards and how things fall. And, I know this, we'll be ready to strike and we'll be ready to execute. And the one thing about our fans is they're passionate, man. They're great. We're the best fans in the league. And there's nothing better than winning over at the Link on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday night or Thursday night, and that place is rocking, and we're playing winning football. We saw it in 2017. We saw the excitement there. We saw it in 18. We got going again back in the playoffs. And, we want to get back to the playoffs. We want to get back competing and getting this city fired up along with its fans.
When you look at cornerback, receiver, or skill positions compared to linemen, can you tell me the tougher positions to make the transition from college to NFL and maybe the easier ones out of that group?
I think it's a case-by-case scenario. Some guys can just come in and they hit the ground and they go. A lot of it is intelligence, toughness, and, what they've been through, and willingness to come in and learn and hit the ground running and go. So I think it's a case-by-case scenario, John. And, that's just – I think it's a lot about it is the person and their makeup.
But, you were at Villanova playing on the line at Villanova. You have a degree in communications, I believe. So do linemen have an easier time? Is it an easier transition for offensive linemen?
I don't know if it's easier, but the ones that can come in and do it, they're usually tough, they're smart, and they're durable, and they can handle adversity. They've been through it. They're thick-skinned, they're tough-minded guys, and they hit the ground and they go. And they have a track record of doing that. So those are all good indicators for guys that come in the league and they play and they get going. So
we talked about the unique year, and you guys talked about on Zoom, you had to come up with creative ways to get information or find out about these prospective draft picks. Rock, paper, scissors, that was revealed. So are there any other gimmicks or games or fun exercises that you use to loosen it, but also, find out who these guys are?
Well, Coach Sirianni got really creative with that, and that was really cool to see. But I think with our scouts and what we talked about is find a way. It's a relationship business, scouting, and the relationships you have at schools with coaches, people in football operations, support staff. Those were really counted on this year. Those bonds that we had already, we had our scouts. We leaned on our scouts. Those relationships, we counted on those this year. Just because the scouts weren't allowed to visit schools in the fall. They were able to go to some games, but that in-person visit, it wasn't there this year because of the protocol. So we had to get creative and find a way, and whether it was a phone call, a Zoom call, whatever you had to do to contact people and get the information, that was the challenge. And our scouts did an outstanding job. They went above and beyond the spring with a pro day coverage. They were out there, they were on the road. During a pandemic, they're, like I said, their families, them and their families, they were not immune to this. This touched our families, and our scouts directly, indirectly, with family members and individually. And these guys found a way. They were tough. They showed resiliency, they showed creativity, and they're ground troops. They went in there, they're the foot soldiers, and we're so proud of them and the work they did, and so excited to have them come in here with our staff next week and help us execute this draft and find the Eagles and get our team back going and back into playoff mode and back competing for Super Bowls.
Couple final quick questions for you. You were in Baltimore and you were involved with the drafting of Joe Flacco. What does he bring into this Eagles team, and how happy are you to be involved with bringing him back here to Philly?
Yeah, we're excited to add Joe to our team. I know Joe just from my time with the Ravens, through scouting him at Delaware. And Joe is a great competitor. He's a great teammate. He's a great person. I think his track record in playoff wins, it speaks for itself. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. And, when you have a chance to add a veteran like that with high football character, loves the game, that can still throw the football like him. You know, it was just an opportunity and to add to our team and add to the room. And I think he'll be great for the building. He's a local guy. And I got a history with him and just so excited to have him here. And credit to Howie and Coach Sirianni and for Joe for wanting to be here and getting this done. And just excited and looking forward to him, getting him out in the field with our team and in the building and interacting and watching them perform.
And I know draft days and draft nights, they can be long nights. You going to tap into that Nick Sirianni energy to get you through draft weekend?
You know, I might, you know, gosh, that's contagious, you know, and that's what you love about Nick is his authenticity and his energy, and his love of the game and his passion. It comes through, and that kind of stuff is contagious, and you love it. You love being around it, you know, and it rubs off on people, and, you know, you come in every day excited to go to work. You know, he's in here putting in the hours, doing the extra work and makes guys, and he's a connector. He's a natural connector. And that's one thing we found out during the process of the interview process is how authentic he is and how good he is and real he is at connecting with people. And that's so critical, I think, in today's game. And it's going on right now. Like every day we come in here with the new staff with him, you feel the chemistry building, you feel the connection building. And we're just excited. You know, and he's a great guy. He's a great guy to work with. And looking forward to the future, looking forward to next week into the season.
And thanks for listening to Takeoff with John Clark. And once again, please subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts and rate and review this so we can work on some things, but we appreciate you listening.